Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hang on, I think my music's playing. It is. Let's turn the music off. Welcome back. It is the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Tour finale, the final stop on this whole thing. The top 8 players by points. Yesterday we had an incredible round robin, which was topped by World Cup winner Javokhir Sindarov on his birthday. And he, as a birthday present, got to pick his opponent, and he picked Parham Magsudlu, who yesterday went winless. So it seems pretty logical. This was their first game. We've got 3 other quarterfinals to cover as well, so let's have a look. And Parham started with f4. Sindarov chose to have black first. And this was the position they were given, where everything is shuffled. There's nothing similar except maybe for the knight on b1. c5, and now e4. And b5. Now this looks very silly. You're opening up pieces as best as you can. You've got space for the knights. You're taking up central space. The principles of chess still apply. Short castles, which is just possible. f6, which normally is a bad move, but not in this case. Knight to g3. Knight f7, and now b3. So far, so normal. The beauty of freestyle chess is it gets you completely out of opening preparation. These players are 5 moves in. They've already spent 5 minutes of their clock time, which in a classical game is not a lot, but these are all rapid games, 30 minutes. Knight c6, knight c3, queen b6. Let me take a sip of water. Just looking to maybe push this pawn forward. The queen also has scope this way. Bishop to g4, e6, and now knight ce2. Short castles. c4, b takes c4, b takes c4. Interesting move. There is a consideration here to maybe play queen takes c4, but this is better for black. Because what you get here is then knight b4, which becomes a big problem. Because you can't really kick the knight out, and if you do, you just create weaknesses for yourself. Bishop's open, queen's open, knight looking to jump in. It's just better for you. So, what we get is b takes, bishop to a5, now putting pressure. King slides over to h1, queen to c7, rook to d1, bishop to d6, and now d3. Knight to h6, targets the bishop, bishop to f3, and now here Sindarov makes a mistake. He plays knight to e7. Evo bar's not going crazy. The engine prefers being active. Knight to d4 is what it wants. He goes back. Now knight to h5. And now here you've got to be precise once again. You have to play knight to c6 to go back and put the knight on d4. The engine says it's not too late. But he goes for knight g6. And he is now much worse for one move only. And that is if Parham Magsudlu, winless yesterday, sacrifices the bishop. Bishop takes f6, brilliancy. The idea is very simple. Rook takes f6. Knight takes f6, check. Pawn comes forward, and now f5. Knight is hit, knight is hit. You get your material back, and Sindarov is on the ropes. King g7, and now here Parham must just finish everything off by playing the very calm knight to g3. Knight to g3, very calm. He doesn't. He takes the knight. Loses all of his advantage, because now you don't have enough. The queens come off. Knight f7 is fine. Despite the fact he's up the exchange, there is not enough material and compensation. g3, knight e5. King g1, rook to h8. h4, bishop to c6. Bishop e2, bishop a5. King f2, bishop c3. Look at how Sindarov just controls everything. He coordinated all of his pieces so quickly. This bishop's got no scope anywhere. These rooks are doing nothing. It's a terrible position to play for white. You try to break through with d4. I just take, check. You can sack and get this back, and now parity is restored in terms of material. This structure is terrible. My knight is sitting beautifully. although under pressure. I can probably bring this back in. My bishop is just on a good square. Knight f7, check. King goes back to f8. King e3, king e7, knight to f4, rook g8. How do you defend? You can play rook g1, but now knight to h6. How do you defend? Knight goes back to d3, king f6. And Sindarov slowly forces a mistake from Parham. g4 in low time pressure. Parham now under a minute. Sindarov still has about 3 minutes on the clock. f4 check. And now look at that. Knight f5. You cannot take, or you mean you can take, but then you would lose your rook. So check. King goes back. And now we push through our pawn. We maneuver our rook to the other side of the board. Check. And we grab this. And everything is just smooth sailing for Sindarov. No tricks, no nothing. Gets everything through, trades off into this endgame where he's up material. And this was a very calm conversion in the end. Worrying about knight forks, just had to make sure he got everything correct. Eventually he wins the a-pawn. And Sindarov wins. And he won the second game. So he is through to the semifinals. But the question is, who will one of his semi-final opponents be? Well, let's check in on the other 3 quarterfinals. The man who finished second yesterday was Levon Aronian. And he had a choice of players. And to, I won't say no one's surprise, but to very few people's surprise, he picked the guy who finished second from bottom. Hans Niemann. Their first 2 games were very impressive. The reason I say that, they were 2 draws. So they went to tiebreaks. This was the their third game together, the first of the 2 tiebreaks. It's a blitz game with this position. We have e4 from Hans, who's got the white pieces. g6. You know, in a normal chess game, it's very difficult to make a mistake on the first move. Hans Niemann's just better on move 1. I mean, he didn't even have to try that hard. Knight to c3, e5, and now f4. E takes f4, knight 1, e2. Bishop tries to hang on to the pawn, g3. And Hans goes for like a gambit kind of style. Levon's up a pawn, bishop to g7, d4. Knight to c6, long castles. So Hans gave up a pawn, but he's now got very good central control. His queen is active, his rooks are active, and his knights are kind of developed, and the bishops have got scope to go elsewhere. Knight b6, bishop h3 gives back the advantage that he had. Here, probably the most clinical move is actually the shocking queen h4 check. Don't ask me, because the idea is queen h4, f6, and then to play something like g4 is the idea. Bishop to h3 seems logical, short castles, and now d5. Knight jumps out to the edge of the board, queen f3. f5 from Levon. The perfect move. He's now seized the initiative. E takes f5, g takes f5, mistake. Bishop takes f5 is a miss. The engine much prefers b3. Not queen takes. b3. The engine wants b3. You might say, wait, hang on. What? That's obviously not hanging, but what? How does that work? You're just... This bishop's a dark square. You're weakening the dark squares. That's what the engine wants. So bishop takes f5 is a miss, but king b8 steps out of the diagonal, and now b3. Knight to c8. d6 is a blunder. The question is, will Hans Niemann get away with it? The best move is just to play knight takes. Just take this with the knight. That's what the engine wants. And then g4. Levon here plays c6. He gets a little bit spooked. But now look at that. Knight to e4, b6, king b1, bishop to d5. Levon Aronian causing plenty of problems for Hans Niemann, who now gives him another chance to put him out of his misery. He plays knight to f4. And that simply loses. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes. Knight b7. How do you defend this? The knight can also come this way. And you've created too many weaknesses. They're in severe time pressure now, come move 20. So the next sequence of moves, ladies and gentlemen, is hysterical. a4, mistake. Knight takes c6. Queen d3. Bishop e5 blunder. Bishop takes h7. Knight c5 blunder. Queen g6 miss. Bishop a1 blunder. Queen d6 miss. King b7 mistake. Bishop d4 blunder. Bishop takes d4. Great move. Rook takes d4. Queen h7. a5. Knight takes b3. Rook b4. Knight takes a5. Knight e6. Rook e8. Like, this is how quickly they play. Knight to c5, check. King a8, mistake. Knight takes d7. Queen f5. Rook f4. Queen b5, check. King c1, blunder. Knight c4, great move. Rook takes c4. Queen takes c4. Knight e5. Queen d5. Queen takes c6, check. Queen c6. Knight takes c6. And Levon Aronian wins with rook to g8. And he's through to the semifinals. He won the follow-up game as well. Absolutely incredible stuff. Really entertaining when they went to tiebreaks. This was not the only game to go to tiebreaks. But before we get to what I will call the grand finale of Magnus Carlsen versus Hans Niemann, versus Fabiano Caruana, we must talk about Vincent Keymer versus Arjun Erigaisi. I warned you, ladies and gentlemen, in yesterday's video. Vincent Keymer's not done. He's finished bottom 4 before and gone on to win. Arjun Erigaisi picked Vincent Keymer. Erigaisi finished near the top. C4, B6. You know, they've got a really random position that I don't know how to explain. B4, just pushing pawns on the side of the board that you normally don't do, but this is what you have to do in freestyle chess. E3, E6, E3, F5, mistake. You don't often get that on move 3 in classical chess. Knight C D3. It's not often both knights can go to D3. Knight F6, H4. That's just a simple move. I would like to go attack your king. Same plan as always. Knight D6. Knight jumps into the center. We look to trade it, and we trade it. And now H5. Because you can't castle long now. I mean, it was going to be difficult anyway. You can castle short, which you do. And now you've just automatically stacked your rooks. That was the easiest rook stack ever. But H6. Now you've got to play G6. I know you have weakened your dark squares. And I've got this guy. Queen B2. Rook slides over to E8. Knight F3. Bishop takes F3. Bishop takes F3. And now C6. We get B5, C5. Everything just getting locked down by Arjun. This was their second game. Their first game ended in a draw. G4. F takes G4. Bishop takes G4. You cannot take the bishop because you would hang mate. So be careful. D5. Bishop to E2 and now D4. F4, Knight E4, and now Rook to H3. Everything seems to be coming apart here, but it's not really because you've still got this threat the whole time. Bishop F6 looks to now create problems of your own, but I've just got Queen to C2. Calmly stepping out of this, targeting the knight. The bishop will see the bishop. This is a problem. This is coming. Huge problems for Arjun to solve. He drops his knight back. Now we get bishop to F3, queen to C8, and now rook to H2. Knight jumps into F5, but bishop C6 targets the rook, rook to D8, and now queen B3. And knight E7 mistake. Bishop drops back to G2, E5. Just a blunder. Just a blunder. Why? Because of the move bishop to H3. And there's a hidden threat here. There's a hidden problem. Because yes, you target the queen has to move, now you've got this. And you've just lost a rook. Gets pinned to the king, E4, and we can keep it there, queen B1, queen B7, rook G2, king F8 steps out the way now you must take the... Oh! You don't have to take the rook. You don't have to take the rook, you can cause more problems. Bishop takes D4 check, bishop takes D4, rook takes D4, now we take the rook at the most opportune moment. King F7, and now look at that, F5. F5. You can't really take with the pawn, you get blasted. You can't really take with the knight, you get blasted. So what are you going to do? You have to take here, but now queen D1. King E6, queen H5. Queen drops back, here. And Vincent Keymer just swarms Arjun Erigaisi and ends everything with the sacrifice of the rook. Rook takes e7. Just a beautiful move. In every walk of life, to sacrifice the rook. King can't take. So queen takes, but check. Here, check. King can't come forward because you get mated. King can't go back because you lose the queen. Vincent Keymer wins and progresses to the semifinals. And his opponent could be one of the next two men. Now, there is a fascinating story. The only person that can catch Magnus Carlsen is his opponent in the quarterfinals, that being Fabiano Caruana. But what would need to happen is Fabiano Caruana has to win the whole event and Magnus Carlsen has to finish 6th or lower. So if Magnus Carlsen wins this game, he is the Freestyle Chess World Champion. He cannot be caught. So he just has to get to the semifinals. Or if he loses, he has to hope Fabiano Caruana does not win. So is the overall championship still alive? G4 from Fabiano Caruana, knight to c6, great move. The fact that you can do that on move 1 is why freestyle chess is amazing, despite, some other hidden problems with the tour. Freestyle chess on its own, amazing, because this is the only move that still holds. Crazy that you can do that on move 1. Knight to c3, g6, knight b3, f5, g takes f5, g takes f5, knight to c5. Just looking to cause problems and be a menace. Knight d6 defends everything, another great move from Magnus Carlsen. This is also a tiebreak game. They traded wins in the rapid portion, so this is a blitz game. f4, f5, takes, queen takes, bishop to g2. Short castles, bishop to d5, looking for a trade. We don't get it, bishop to h6, long castles. What? I feel like I said short castles when Magnus did it. They both played long castles. Bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, and we get this trade. Magnus Carlsen gets an endgame with super advanced knights and an interesting pawn structure. Let's see what he gets. Rook e5. Oh, he doesn't have the advanced knights. Fabiano Caruana's got the advanced knights. Knight to c3, drops back. Now knight e4, looking for trades. Knight to d3 is the mistake because of rook e6. No. What Magnus needs to play is rook a5. Rook e6. Rook f1. Rook g8. Knight jumps into d5. Knight drops back. We don't trade. We reroute knight 5 f4. Rook to d6. And now bishop to e3. b6. Rook g1. Rook e8. And now rook df1. Knight g6. King d1. King b7. Knight g2. Bishop takes. Knight takes. The players are now down 2 seconds on the clock. But this is not like the previous game where it's blunder, blunder, blunder. These are two players of the highest quality. So we get f4, great move. Knight to g2, c5, b3, b5, c4, b takes c4, b takes c4. Magnus Carlsen is now winning. Knight e5. And here Fabiano Caruana can try and hold it all together, but he just takes. Knight g takes f4. Knight takes c4. Rook g7, knight takes c2. Fabiano Caruana has 1 second left on the clock. He plays rook gf1. You cannot take the knight. They do get some bonus. c4, king c2, check, takes, check, here. Knight to f3, rook 1 g2, knight to c3 check, and Magnus Carlsen wins. Incredible game. This is hanging. Your king is like under attack, and no matter where you go, it's a problem. I mean, you're borderline mated. I can't go there. You have to kind of walk into the file of this and a discover check. It's just a nightmare. Fabiano Caruana loses, and Magnus Carlsen progresses, which does mean, ladies and gentlemen, that your semi-finals in the games that matter are Javokhir Sindarov versus Magnus Carlsen, Vincent Keymer versus Levon Aronian, and then in the other two semifinals in the consolation bracket, it is Fabiano Caruana versus Parham Maksudlu, and Hans Niemann versus Arjun Ergaisi. But it does also mean Magnus Carlsen is the Freestyle Chess World Champion for 2025.